Dricus Duplessis. The man is jacked, the man is powerful, the man kisses his coach, and the man just whooped Sean Strickland for 5 rounds. So much for...
The man has a cinder block forehead. You see him the next day. The guy could take damage. We're probably going to have a 5-round war. I'm going to try to put his down. He's going to try to put my down. One of us is going to get up. It ain't going to be me. To the death. I think the Dutchman can agree. We're going to put on a war, and we're going to try to each other up. And that's a promise we both can make you guys.
We were promised a war, and instead, we got a 5-round beatdown. And after watching this fight, I can't wait for DDP to fight Khamzat. The most intriguing part of this fight is that it is impossible to predict that first round. Khamzat has only gone further than the first round twice, and he gassed out in both. Against Gilbert Burns, and then against Kamaru Usman. And DDP has shown he can go 5 rounds, and trying to finish DDP in the first just does not sound like the smartest idea, since he absolutely loves it when a fight gets chaotic, and DDP just thrives in those kind of wild fights. And genuinely, I am super stoked for this fight. I think DDP Khamzat is projected to be an all-time classic. But let's talk about last weekend. As I predicted, Sean fought pretty much the same, and it was DDP who made the bigger adjustment. Dricus did a much better job defending the jab and being overall more calculated in this fight. This time, he wasn't just walking into jabs, and there were a few ways he would deal with Sean's jab. He would first pick up his guard and use his arms to deflect the jab. The next way he would defend the jab was to simply parry it. He would also look to counter Sean's jab by first parrying the jab and then either throwing his own jab or even a right hand. The second way he would counter the jab was with leg kicks, either with inside leg kicks or outside leg kicks. Let's take a closer look. Here he first parries the jab, then counters with an inside leg kick. In this example, he again parries the jab and then counters with an outside leg kick instead. And this was how Dricus dealt with Sean's jab throughout the fight, in a way shutting down Sean's jab almost completely. In my last video, I said Sean needs jabs, right hands, teeps, combinations, and to trust in his power in order to win this fight. And he did a much better job throwing his right hand, sometimes even as a counter or in more rare instances in combinations. Like in this example, he switches into southpaw to get away from DDP's strikes and then counters with a stiff right jab. In this example, he finally follows up the jab with a right hand and lands clean on DDP, snapping his head back. Here, he even threw a combo and went to the body with the right hand to set up his left hook. And this last one was probably his best punch of the fight. Sean catches Dricus coming in with a clean overhand right on the chin. But man, DDP just ate them all like they were a bunch of marshmallows. Makes you think, maybe Sean's punches are made out of marshmallows. Like I said, Sean needed to make use of the teep in this fight. And he did. He used it much more than last time. And it was very effective. Until DDP started countering the teeps. The primary way Dricus would do this was by simply lifting his knee, especially when Sean would lift his own knee. He'd also deflect the teep with his arm and counter with a leg kick. Eventually, Dricus started lifting his knee not only to defend against the teep, but to set up his own attacks. That's because all of his kicks had the same chamber, so Sean didn't know if he was throwing a body or a head kick, keeping him guessing the whole time. And that's how Dricus was setting up his question mark kick in the fight. DDP would also throw his own teeps, as well as side kicks to the knee. The side kick in particular was really effective in keeping Sean on the back foot, essentially frustrating him. Eric Nixick was also begging Sean to go forward and be more active, and every time, Dricus would just stab him with the side kick, stopping him from moving forward. And as the fight went on, all Dricus needed to do to back Sean up was to lift his knee. Just look at this example right here. Look where Sean is when Dricus lifts his knee. And then look where he ends up. He went from the center of the octagon all the way to the black line. Another thing I mentioned that Sean needed to do in this fight was to throw that amazing jab he has, not only to the head, but to the body as well. But the one throwing the jab to the body was Dricus. Sean needed to be the one going to the body the most because Dricus has very good cardio. And how do you deal with someone with good cardio? You go to the body. But again, it was Dricus who went to the body the most. And this fight was so one-sided that DDP was styling on Sean. From spinning back kicks to spinning back fists and elbows, as well as using a spin to set up a body kick. Dricus is the only fighter that would feign a jab into a fake spin in order to create an opening for a body kick. And it worked because Sean didn't know if it was going to be a spinning back kick or back fist. And finally, there is Sean's broken nose. Sean throws a jab, of course, and Dricus goes to counter. But Sean sees it coming and defends. But he also leaves himself open, and Dricus lands a hard right hand, breaking Sean's nose. And when this happened, I thought this fight was over. Dricus was chasing Sean down like he had just stolen his lunch money. And of course Sean survives. Man, that guy is tough. His chin has to be respected. It took Alex hitting Sean with his Giga Chad left hook to KO Sean. And he ate some bombs from DDP. But after that broken nose, the fight was done. You could say that was the nail in the coffin for Sean's comeback. So, in the end, what did we learn? DDP is a beast of a man, Sean is tough as nails, and the way to beat constant defense is constant offense. Now, all eyes are on DDP versus Khamzat. But how can Khamzat possibly beat someone who has the power of friendship, Looney Tunes, and plot armor on his side? Like, no amount of aura can beat that, bro, because Dricus still knocks you out.